Saints now 5-6 on the season. Atlanta also has reached that mark, snapping their skid. They are also 5-6, taking the lead in the NFC South.
Well, if you look at it, it's in the bad division, and everybody is in the middle of the pack or mediocre. But we're not even in the middle of the pack. We're in the bottom of the pack. To not take advantage of this, I don't know. We need a bye week. We need a bye week now because everybody's freaking hurt. Like we had the bye, everyone wants to get healthy. Now we're going to play the Lions, and you got significant or key players that are banged up. No excuses. No, this is garbage. I mean, all I know is you're not winning any games if you don't score in the red zone. I would say you don't have to go 5 for 5. Can you go 3 for 5? What I mean by touchdowns. I'm not talking about field goals, not making Groupie the player of the game. He had a chance to go 6 for 6. But, to go 0-5 in the red zone, 0-1 goal-to-goal scenarios, no, it's unacceptable. I mean, we have to wait and see what's going to happen. But you look at the Falcons, where they're at right now. They didn't have no momentum. They had lost 3 straight. But, you can turn your season around quickly. Now they 3-0 in the NFC South with a win. So you look at tiebreakers, what's going to come around. I still think it's a dim light. It's still a light at the end of the tunnel. It's dim. But I still think it's going to come down to the last game of the season in the in the Caesars Superdome. Whoever wins that game is going to win the NFC South. I still think that. I'm still a little bit optimistic that that's how meaningful that game is going to come. So whether it's Atlanta hosting a playoff game or whether the Saints hosting a playoff game, doesn't mean you can do anything. You might get waxed like Tampa Bay got waxed last year by the Cowgirls, but you got to the postseason. Now, I don't think any moves would be made. I think truly for moves to be made, that you want the Saints to fall on their face. Now, if we don't do anything, I don't know how Dennis Allen can't stick around. But if you end up winning the NFC South and hosting the game, no, there ain't no changes. Now, you might change Sneaky Pete and the offensive coordinator, but Dennis Allen's not going nowhere. So Dennis Allen is playing for his job. What's going to occur against the Lions? What's going to occur on a schedule that is so favorable, you think on paper, how can we not win? But maybe we're not even middle of the pack. Maybe we're at bottom of the pack. Who knows what's going to occur? I don't know. All I know is playing in Atlanta. Now, not even looking at, not even looking at the playoff games. We had a 54-53 edge. Now, we played 108 times, and it's now 54-54. So, again, flip a coin. Are we going to win? We might win. It's 50-50. And that's what occurred in 108 times we played. Now, it's very discouraging. We've had Atlanta's number as of late. Always say this since 2006. We're 24-10 since 2006 against the Dirty Birds. Now we 24-11. We hadn't lost a game in the ATL since 2017. Well, we can't say that no more. And if you look at it in games in Atlanta, boy, you want to have an impressive road schedule. We're 27-28. We're 27-27 coming into this game. And we had won. We were looking to win 7 straight in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That got broken. We won 6. Now we cannot say. So it's a lot of negative things that transpired in this game. Now, instincts, I think he's still an old man. But Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, I got to give him credit, coming away with 2 takeaways. Do you know the last 10 seasons, so a decade, he's second in the NFL, only behind, everyone heard of Marcus Peters, right? Marcus Peters has 33 interceptions. Honey Badger has 32. He's second in the NFL. Now, I still think maybe there's a little more negative than positive, but he still has ball instincts. In the old days, maybe when he intercepts that ball, it's like a punt return, like when he played for LSU or whatever, and he takes it to the house. Kind of like the Falcons took it to the house. But that was an open field. He should have a pick 6 in that regard when that came about. But looking at, like I said, you can look at the total yards and all that. But, we're not good. And this is one thing we can hang our hat on. We were amongst the best third down defense. Well, not today. We gave them 50%. They were 4 of 8. And that's one area, we take away the football we have to excel in. But we are not good in that area on third down. Like I mentioned before, the red zone, no, you got to score. I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but you can't be 0 for 5. And how about Atlanta running the ball? I don't know. Do you think we could stop Atlanta from rushing? All I know is they averaged 5.5 yards a run in the first half. Well, when the game ended, they averaged 5.6. So basically, they are right at 5.5 yards. Okay, well, let's get rid of David Onyemata and Shai Tuttle. That's why we can't stop the run. What? Well, they average 5.5 yards, 5.6 yards a carry, and they get 228 total yards. They thought, you know what, we can run against the Saints. They ain't stopping us. Now, we finally was keeping pace a little bit because we ended up averaging 5.3. We had 148 total yards. But I look at the first half, how the tone was set. We average what we average normally during like 2.8, 3.2. We averaged 2.8 in the first half, and they were at 5.5 yards total, like I said. Now, turnover margin, I think the way we're playing, we have to be opportunistic. Now, we were 0. 1 minus, 1 negative, 1 positive. So we end up being 0 in the turnover margin. Now we +6 for the season. You look when I look at like the turnovers, the interception. There's different kind of interceptions. If an interception occurs in the red zone and you're about to score, because that's points off the board, whether you're kicking a field goal or a touchdown, and then you give up a touchdown, a pick 6. No, you want to talk about the momentum and how the game swings. You cannot have that. Now, I thought the difference in the game, and I love Taysom Hill. I love Taysom Hill. But for some reason, he's had outstanding games. It's a big sample size, 12 career games, now 13 career games against Atlanta. He's done well. He had 81 total yards today. But one thing he's always done? He has fumbled against the damn Falcons. Taysom Hill has fumbled against the Falcons. The score, it was 2 seconds left in the third quarter. The score was 14-9. It looks like, well, we're going to get a touchdown. You say automatic extra point. We're going to be up 16 to 14. Not so fast. Momentum change. So when I look at when that occurred, I said, Steve, that's not good. The way this game is flowing, I knew we'd be behind the 8 ball when that occurred. I'm looking at Alvin Kamara. He ended up with 119 total yards. He finally had a good average running the football at 4.6. Taysom was at 3.7. Taysom was kind of like feast or famine when he was running the ball. Like he had those 10-yard bursts and runs, but he ran the ball 7 times. So now we have 2 losses. We don't just have 1 loss. So it's either 17-2 or 18-2 now when Taysom Hill runs the ball 7 yards or more. Now, Chris Olave, then it seemed like Chris Olave was getting off. Okay, but that was in the first half. And then, I don't know, they knocked him out. He went out of bounds. I guess he hit the ground too hard. Stuff like that happens. He had 7 catches, 114 yards in the first half. Well, he ended up with 7 catches, 114 yards for the game. That's a good game, but he had that in the first half. Taysom Hill caught a couple of balls, 55 yards. Alvin Kamara, like I said, not only as a running back, getting 69 yards, but he had 4 catches for 50 yards. Now, Bijan Robinson, when you could kind of compare him to Alvin Kamara and you look at the production, well, they kind of canceled themselves out. Kamara had 119 total yards. Robinson had 123 total yards, but he averaged almost 6 yards a carry, and he had 32 yards also receiving. To me, it's not like Desmond Ridder won the game for him. He had a touchdown, 2 interceptions. He had a quarterback rating of 63. Derek Carr had a quarterback rating of 77. So there's nothing to write home about in that area. You know, the one thing that I've noticed, I think, and Dukes mentioned this, is do we tackle good enough a lot of times? Seems like we struggle. We need to do a better job of tackling. I mean, look, Carl Granderson led the team with 10 total tackles. Pete Werner had 8. Marcus May had 8. But, you know, it's like nothing. It should be a linebacker or your linebacker. And, you know, Pete Werner ended up having 8 total tackles, 7 unassisted. But it doesn't seem like that we have any significant playmakers. The guy that was a playmaker for them, and Steve, I had mentioned this before the game, that Bates. You know what I told you about that cat, Jesse Bates, for them, and money well
I
spent?
was going to say, he got paid big bucks, but it's turning out to be, like you said, a wise investment.
Well, look at him. He came into the game, had a season high 13 tackles before the bye. And that was his third game, 10-plus tackles. Well, you know what he did today? He had 12. He had 12 total tackles, a pick 6, a forced fumble. You know, they were doing the peanut Tillman punching it out. Look, we were lucky when Derek Carr fumbled. Remember how we got that ball? Who landed on that? Juwan Johnson? Who? No, it was A.T. Perry.
Right.
A.T. Perry covered that fumble. That's luck. I mean, we got to protect the football more, but a very frustrating loss, to say the least. Now, does anybody think after Detroit next week that it's the NFL, we're going to be 6-6? I think the odds are, even though we're playing at home, we'll probably be 5-7. Then you're really behind the 8 ball. And it puts a lot of pressure on the organization. But this is a game to control what you need to do in the NFC South. I said this in the pregame. You know, if the Saints beat Atlanta, and I thought Tampa Bay was going to lose to the Colts, didn't that happen?
That happened.
Okay, so the Saints beat Atlanta, Tampa Bay lose to the Colts. You'd have a 2-game lead in the NFC South with 6 games remaining. Not so fast. The Saints don't know how to be prosperous. They don't know how to succeed. Now, I don't know. It's kind of like we want to cause all the Houdat Nation an ulcer. I mean, okay, but we're going to be stressed out. But a very disappointing performance, because do you think Atlanta is really, I mean, I think right now I would say Atlanta's kind of middle of the pack. We're not even in the middle of the pack. But that's why you can't say, oh, well, look at Atlanta. They're turning the corner maybe. No, you don't view Atlanta like the 49ers, the Eagles, or the dreaded Cowgirls. No, you don't view them that way. And that's what's so discouraging where we're at right now. You know what else? Okay, coming into the game, you know how many sacks we had? 18. How many sacks we had today? 1 or 0? I think we had 0, Steve.
I thought we had 1.
But who? Who had a sack? I don't think we had a sack. Tell me.
No, you're right.
Who had a sack? Nobody had.
You're right. It was the other way around. Derek Carr was sacked 1.
Yeah, Derek was sacked by some Ikabikitai. I don't know how to even say his name. No, Derek Carr was sacked. We didn't even sack. We didn't even sack Ritter.
No.
I mean, I'm looking at Ritter. He is what he is. You can't say, oh, well, we had a good performance. We hung in there like with Pat Mahomes or something. No, it's very disappointing. And I'm telling you, the key to the game, and you know I love Taysom Hill. I love me some Taysom Hill.
That fumble.
It occurred. We had the momentum. We're going to go up 16-14, not so fast. And really, it's the beginning of the fourth quarter. When that is 2 seconds left in the third quarter, that's when that occurred. And just very disheartening. It was a discouraging loss, because it's not like you're playing your rival and they're like the 49ers or the Eagles. The Falcons aren't that good, but maybe we're not that good. I'm trying to be honest and keep it real. Where we're at right now, the NFC South is the NFC South. Look, Tampa Bay lose, Carolina lose. No, it's good. It's good. Is it going to be the same song and dance like last year? Maybe this might happen. Didn't Tampa Bay win the NFC South with a losing record, 8-9? So I can tell you right now, the NFL got to get this right in the future. Because you play NFC, AFC, and all that. If you have a losing record, you ain't hosting no damn playoff game. So to me, let's say.
No matter if you're the division winner or not.
No matter what. Go by records. To me, like, for instance, whoever wins the NFC South, if they're 8-9, and the other team
You
has
should be the visitor.
Yes. I mean, isn't that like to reward a winner? So, so we won our division. We should host a game. Why? You got a losing record. I mean, it's like even when the NFC East was the NFC least. Remember a few years ago? No, you shouldn't be hosting nothing. Now, if you're the Saints and we host a playoff game, the organization wants that. But to me, if you fair and truly competitive spirit, that you should be rewarded if you win to host a playoff game. Not like Tampa Bay last year. They were 8-9 and they host a game and they got waxed by the Cowgirls. Come on.
Let's pause 10 seconds in order for stations to identify themselves on the Community Coffee Saints Radio Network.